Heartwarming revelation, dying wife's unexpected last wish. Nanny marries billionaire. Discover the heart-tugging story of love across social divides. Sarah Andrews wiped tears from her eyes as she stared at the newspaper headline, her heart racing with the fear of the unknown. A widow in her mid-30s, she was a single mother of two, struggling and pushing through the layers of grief since the loss of her brave husband, a veteran who gave everything for his country. Living in the charming suburban town of Maplewood, she felt wrapped in a comfort blanketing the community where everyone knew each other's names, where neighbors lent each other sugar and shovels alike. Her days were filled with laughter and chaos, juggling her work as a nanny while nurturing her children. All she wanted was stability, a warm hug after a long day, and hope for a brighter tomorrow. Then, one fateful afternoon, her phone rang, an unexpected call from the prestigious Thornton family. They required help for Eleanor, the matriarch, who was faced with her final months, needing someone to care for her. Sarah's heart raced. Could she really take this opportunity? But then, there was the pull of responsibility. Before she knew it, she found herself agreeing to help, sensing Eleanor's dying wish looming like storm clouds overhead, the hope that her aloof billionaire son, Alex, would find true love before she passed. Arriving at the grand Thornton estate, Sarah was struck by the stark contrast in her life. Surrounded by opulence beyond her wildest dreams, she approached Alex with cautious optimism. He was all seriousness and sharp suits, a fortress of wealth that seemed impenetrable. Yet beneath that tough exterior, she saw it, a man yearning for connection, a man battling loneliness. Their banter started off rocky but soon evolved into moments rife with humor. Alex's expressions of disbelief as Sarah convinced him to help her organize a game night for Eleanor. Gradually, in those little details, like when she brought him a coffee with just a hint of cinnamon, the walls between them chipped away. They shared laughter that echoed in stark contrast to the sadness surrounding Eleanor, but Maplewood was under threat. Developers were approaching to demolish the community center, a beloved place for families and friends. Sarah's heart sank. She couldn't let this happen to her town. As rumors flew, she gathered her neighbors, invoking that strong spirit of compassion that had always characterized Maplewood. Their bond was undeniable, they would stand together to fight for their community. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As tension escalated, Sarah discovered a shocking truth. Alex held an essential key to saving the community, but that revelation could threaten their burgeoning bond. How would she reconcile her feelings for him with the reality of their diverging worlds? As they prepared for the critical town meeting, vulnerability washed over them. One lingering question hung in the air: could love mend the divide, or would old prejudices doom their blossoming connection? With emotions swirling, Sarah stood resolute, her heart pounding for a fight worth fighting. The night before the town meeting, Sarah sat at her kitchen table, the faint glow of the overhead light casting soft shadows across her cluttered workspace. She could hear her children giggling in the living room, their laughter cutting through the weight that filled her heart. Yet, amidst that warmth, her mind raced with conflicting thoughts of Alex and her community. Would he be the key to saving Maplewood or the barrier that kept her from her home? As she jotted down possible talking points for the meeting, she thought back to their shared moments. Alex was more than just a billionaire, he was a man trying to escape the tight grip of expectations. They were both searching for a place to belong, and yet their paths felt impossibly distant. She couldn't help but wonder if he would stand up for Maplewood or if his loyalty lay solely with his family's legacy. With a sigh, Sarah set her pencil down and leaned back, closing her eyes. The memory of his smile, his laughter, brought a warmth to her chest that she hadn't felt in a long time. The thought of losing that connection stirred something deep within her. "Mom! Can we have popcorn for dinner?" Her son, Tommy, burst into the kitchen, his shaggy blonde hair bouncing with excitement. Popcorn sounds perfect, superhero, she replied, her heart swelling with affection. While Tommy raced to the pantry, her daughter, Lily, followed in, clutching a drawing she had been working on. "Look, Mommy. It's us in front of the community center." The colorful crayon artwork depicted their old gathering place, a cherished spot filled with laughter and community events. "Oh, sweetie, it's beautiful." Sarah knelt, embracing her daughter. But as she took in the drawing, the worry simmered in her heart. Would she let Lily grow up in a town that might not exist? Suddenly, a knock at the door brought her back to the present. With a glance at the clock late for a visitor, she hesitated, her mind flitting from apprehension to hope. Was it Alex? She opened the door and found him standing there, rain lightly drizzling down his dark hair, his suit slightly damp. "Can I come in?" he asked, his face brightening upon seeing her. "Of course." Sarah stepped aside, trying to mask her surprise with a welcoming smile that he stepped in, wiping his shoes against the welcome mat, a faint smile on his lips as he took in the cozy chaos of her home. "I thought maybe we could go over some points for tomorrow," he said, his tone serious yet softer somehow. "I was just working on them." She motioned him toward the table, her heart racing faster with each passing moment. There was something intimate about sharing her space, the weight of their circumstances binding them closer. As they reviewed the points, his insights flowed, and she couldn't help but be captivated by his passion for the community. But each suggestion made her realize the vast differences between them, the privileges he'd grown up with versus her struggle to keep it together. "We need to rally everyone together," he said passionately. "If we can persuade them, it's worth a shot." His determination ignited a spark within her, a flicker of hope that began to blur the boundaries that had initially separated them. Could they unite their worlds? "Maybe it's time to show them what we can do together," she replied, surprise flooding her voice. At that moment, the divide felt smaller, almost non-existent. But as the night wore on, she couldn't shake the nagging worry. Would their newfound alliance survive the turbulent waters about to surround them? As he turned to leave, something in his eyes shimmered, a question unasked, a possibility lingering in the air. Sarah, her heart raced as she met his gaze, all the unsaid words hanging between them. What were they really willing to risk for each other? In that moment, outside the storm began to brew, echoing the brewing storm within her, both within the town and her heart. What would happen when they stepped into that meeting tomorrow? Would they create hope or uncover heartache? The meeting hall was filled with the low murmur of voices, a tension hanging in the air like a thick fog. Sarah stood at the back, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. The community center, usually the pulse of Maplewood, felt different today. This was about more than just saving their beloved town, it was about the future of herself and her children and her growing connection to Alex. As the clock ticked closer to the start time, she spotted Alex talking to a few prominent members of the town council. He stood tall, an air of authority around him that contrasted sharply with the uncertainties swirling inside her. Every time she caught his eye, he offered her a warm smile that sent small jolts through her heart. But that warmth was tempered by a reality she couldn't escape. Would he be able to sway the council? Would they even be willing to listen? "Mom, is that Mr. Alex?" Tommy tugged at her shirt, his innocent curiosity breaking through her anxious thoughts. "Yes, sweetheart. Remember I told you about him?" Her attempt to sound casual felt strained. She knelt to his level. "Today is a big day for all of us." As they continued to wait, the crowd thickened. Faces she recognized from years of town gatherings filled the space, some wore frowns, others looked hopeful, while a few tired souls simply gazed at the floor. Anxiety gripped her, but as she looked at Tommy and Lily, she remembered why she was here. She couldn't let fear overshadow the love she had for her kids and their future. Just then, the mayor stepped up to the microphone, his posture commanding the room's attention. "Thank you all for coming today," he began, his deep voice resonating in the hall. "We're here for an important discussion about Maplewood's future, and I'd like to invite Alex Treadway to share his thoughts." A ripple of murmurs moved through the crowd. Sarah felt her breath catch in her throat. This was it. She watched as Alex moved confidently to the front, flashing a quick smile at her as he took the microphone in hand. For a moment, everything else faded, and it was just them. "Thank you, Mayor." His voice was steady, yet there was a vulnerability that seeped through. "I understand the concerns many of you have had about the future of Maplewood. My family has a rich history here, and I believe it's our obligation to preserve what we can." He spoke from the heart about the values of community, family, and the beauty of togetherness. Sarah could see nods of approval, some eyes glistening with hope. But doubt still flickered in her own heart. Would his words truly resonate? Or would they just bounce off closed minds? As he flipped through his notes, he paused, looking out at the crowd. "But I also know that change can be scary. I want to help. No, I want us to help each other." He locked eyes with Sarah, and in that moment, she felt a profound connection, as if all their struggles intertwined. Together, we can invest in preserving our legacy while ensuring a hopeful future for the next generation. His gaze swept across the audience, displaying authenticity she hadn't expected. "So I ask you, let us come together. Let us not allow Maplewood to fade away. Let's work, not just for ourselves, but for our children." His passionate plea ignited a fire within her. The atmosphere in the hall shifted, and the tension began to lift, replaced by a collective heartbeat of hope. Could they really do this together? As the applause erupted, Sarah's heart surged with pride for Alex. She wanted to jump up and cheer, but a weight of uncertainty still rested heavily on her. What would happen next? Would the council truly embrace his vision? The moment hung in the air, electric and pregnant with possibilities. After he stepped down, the crowd approached him, eager to engage. As she moved to join them, Sarah caught sight of the mayor whispering to someone at the back. Fear crept back in as she realized the stakes were rising higher than ever. What if the town didn't embrace change? What if they turned against Alex? With each step, her heart raced, fighting against the tide of doubt swirling in her mind. She had to believe. If they were to forge ahead, they'd need to stand together solidly. But how would she find the strength to confront the storms that lay ahead? Within that sea of faces, Sarah felt isolated, caught between hope and trepidation. It was not just her heart at stake, lives hung in the balance as well. Could Alex defend their vision against a tide of resistance? Or would their efforts crumble before they even began? The buzz of conversation swirled around Sarah as she made her way toward Alex. He was surrounded, people reaching out to him, eager to share their thoughts and fears. The energy in the room had shifted, and for the first time, Sarah felt that perhaps change wasn't as unimaginable as it had seemed moments ago. "Mom!" Tommy shouted, grasping her hand tightly. She turned to him, his wide eyes full of excitement. "Look! Everyone loves Mr. Alex." "Yes, they do," she replied, forcing a smile over her lingering anxiety. Deeper down, she felt a flicker of hope ignite as applause filled the air. If only they could hold on to this momentum. As Alex talked to the crowd, Sarah watched him closely. His hands animated as he spoke, his passion palpable. Deep inside, she longed to be a part of his world, to feel that energy radiating off him. But reality kept nipping at her heels like a stubborn shadow. What would it mean for her if this worked out? Could she truly trust this connection when so much hung in the air? Just then, a familiar voice broke through her thoughts. "Sarah! Over here!" It was Ms. Jenkins, one of the older residents of Maplewood, waving frantically to her from the side. Sarah excused herself from Tommy, her heart pounding. As she walked toward the elderly woman, she could feel the fabric of old friendships begin to fold back into place. "Did you hear him?" Ms. Jenkins exclaimed. "I haven't felt this hopeful in years. We might really have a chance." "Yeah," Sarah said, testing the waters of her own optimism. "He really believes in our town." "Not just the town," Ms. Jenkins corrected her with a wrinkled finger wagging in the air. "He believes in us." Florence, another woman from the neighborhood, joined them eagerly. "The way he talked about our families, that's the kind of connection we need." Sarah felt warmth through her. These women were the backbone of the community. They had been through storms before, and their resilience was a lifeline they could all hold on to. "Let us talk to him, then," Florence suggested, her eyes sparkling. "We can share our ideas and take back some of our concerns. We're all in this together, aren't we?" Before Sarah could respond, the chatter turned louder as a group of young men approached Alex, their demeanor more hesitant than the rest. They looked skeptical. "He shouldn't romanticize the past while we're aching to move forward," one of them said. Sarah's heart sank. Would they drown out the hope Alex was trying to build? She took a breath, feeling the weight of the room settle over her again. In that moment, she didn't want to be just an observer, she wanted to stand up, to support what she believed in. But what if their resistance overshadowed any progress they had made? If they dismissed Alex's plans, how could she ever look him in the eye again? As Alex's laughter rang out, filling the gaps of skepticism, Sarah's resolve hardened. She had to try. This wasn't just about saving Maplewood, it was about her and her children's dreams. Before she could second-guess herself, she stepped forward, determination knitted into her brow. "Alex!" she called out, gripping Tommy's hand tightly. He looked over, those familiar warm brown eyes locking onto hers. She smiled, bearing the weight of her thoughts. "Can we talk? We have ideas too." The smile on his face widened, lighting up the room. "Absolutely. Let's make sure everyone's voice is heard." As Sarah stepped into the crowd, her heart raced with uncertainty and excitement. This was the moment to define everything, but as they gathered in a small circle, she noticed the mayor watching from the sidelines, his expression unreadable, as if he held a secret that threatened everything they were building. What decision would he make that could change their course forever? And did they have what it takes to withstand it? Sarah felt a quickening in her chest as she stepped closer to Alex. The faces around them shifted, filled with anticipation, curiosity sparking in their eyes. It was an electric moment. A sense of unity began to pulse through the crowd, but the shadow of uncertainty from the mayor loomed just outside their circle. "Okay, everyone." Alex's voice rang out, cutting through the chatter. "Let us hear what you've got." The moment hung delicately in the air. Sarah glanced at Tommy, whose face was lit with excitement, and then she turned to Ms. Jenkins and Florence, who nodded encouragingly. "You start, Sarah," Florence whispered, her encouragement buoying Sarah's spirit. Drawing a shaky breath, Sarah stepped forward slightly. Hi, Alex," she began, trying to steady her voice. "We all want what's best for Maplewood. But we need to consider what's in front of us. Change can feel scary," and her words faltered, a pang of doubt creeping in. "What do you mean?" One of the skeptical young men spoke up again, crossing his arms defiantly. His friend beside him nodded, and Sarah felt her resolve wavering. "Change is hard but absolutely necessary," Alex jumped in, turning to face the young men, his expression earnest. "Growth can feel uncomfortable, but it's how we progress. And it often means letting go of old pain." Sarah nodded vigorously, encouraged by Alex's response. "Exactly. We can't just cling to what was. We have to envision what can be." Her voice grew stronger, a sense of clarity washing over her. "We want to keep the spirit of our town, but that doesn't mean we can't adapt." The crowd shifted, murmurs of agreement rippling out as people began nodding. The tension in the air began to thaw, and for the first time, the young men shifted, their arms relaxing slightly. "Let us remember why we're doing this," Sarah continued, stepping closer to the group. "We're all here because we want a place for our children, our families. We have dreams that need nurturing. If we don't come together and speak up, we risk losing everything. We can't do it alone. We have to be a part of this conversation." The young men exchanged glances, their expressions softening. It wasn't just about them, it was about the entire community. Alex smiled at Sarah, pride evident in his eyes as he turned back to face everyone. "See? That's what I'm talking about. It's about working together, blending ideas, meeting halfway. The mayor's figure lingered in Sarah's peripheral vision. She could feel his watchful gaze, sharp and unyielding. What would he do? As the crowd began to rally together with newfound enthusiasm, she could sense a shift. The barriers between hope and skepticism blurred, and they began discussing ideas, merging voices into a chorus of shared aspirations, but the mayor stepped forward, raising a hand, his face set in a stern expression. The room quieted instantaneously, each heartbeat palpable. While I appreciate the enthusiasm, he began, his voice cold and calculated. We must consider our limitations. Some ideas are merely dreams. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Sarah's heart raced, and the warmth from moments ago drowned in a tide of apprehension. Had they come this far only for him to dismiss their dreams? Would they be cast back into silence? A familiar dread wrapped around her, squeezing tight. As the mayor laid out his agenda, Sarah glanced at Alex. He caught her eye, his expression fierce yet calm. This was the moment to lose or gain everything. She had more than just a community's future on the line. She had her dreams, Tommy's future, and her heart. Would the strength of their voices rise above the chill of the mayor's words? Or would they be silenced once more, sent back to the shadows? And how far was Sarah willing to go to fight for what she believed in? The mayor's voice rang out, crisp and unwavering. This town has seen its share of challenges, and I assure you, I'm doing my best to navigate them for all of us. But we can't throw away a practical plan for ideas that lack substance. He scanned the crowd, his gaze landing ominously on Sarah. Tension tightened like a rubber band, ready to snap. She felt the air thicken around her, and her pulse quickened. She could sense the fear creeping back into the crowd. This wasn't just a speech. It was a declaration. But Sarah was done being silent. This was her chance, and she wouldn't let it slip away. Mustering every ounce of courage, she shouted, "But what about our dreams? What about our voices?" Her words hung in the air, challenging and resolute. Gasps echoed back from the gathered townsfolk, a wave of surprise and admiration. Alex's eyes widened in proud disbelief. The mayor's expression faltered slightly, an infinitesimal crack in his veneer. "We have to be realistic, Sarah. We can't play with dreams while we have children and jobs to protect. But if we don't dare to dream, what's the point?" Sarah shot back, her heart racing. The world doesn't change by sitting quietly, hoping it will. We have every right to envision a better tomorrow. We need to tap into our potential, and if we can't do that together, then we've already lost. People began murmuring support behind her. Sarah searched the crowd for familiar faces, hoping her words resonated with them. She noticed Ms. Jenkins wipe a tear from her cheek and Tommy's little hand squeeze her waist tightly. The warmth radiating from their support ignited something fierce in her. "Let us not let uncertainty quench our fire," she called out, voice rising above the murmuring. "Let us discuss these ideas together." The mayor frowned, clearly unprepared for the uprising of passion. "We must be cautious," he insisted, but the rumble of voices grew louder, drowning out his reasoning. "To be cautious is to stand still," Sarah countered, her voice gaining strength. "We can't afford to be paralyzed by fear or old ways. New blood means new ideas. We need to rally, think of our kids, our families." Her heart thundered as she spoke, swimming through a sea of faces ignited by her passion. Just then, someone in the back shouted, "We support you, Sarah." Cheers erupted, echoing like an anthem through the room. Sarah could feel the energy shifting, coursing behind her like a wave. It felt unstoppable. The mayor's rigid exterior began to shake, awkwardly standing there in the face of her courage. "You cannot simply build castles in the air," he spat, but the words lost their power amidst the crowd's escalating enthusiasm. Sarah's heart soared. They were standing together. This was more than just about her. It was about everyone in Maplewood, their dreams entwined in ways she hadn't understood before. As they rallied together, voices rising in solidarity, Sarah felt a spark of something new hope. She clutched Tommy's hand tighter, feeling him squeeze back in encouragement, but the mayor was far from done. He cleared his throat, drawing all eyes back to him, and a chill ran through the crowd, silencing their cheers. "Is this how you wish to approach the future?" he asked, voice low yet booming. "Because if you push me, I will push back." A hush fell over the group, panic puncturing the atmosphere once more. Sarah felt her stomach twist. What would he do? Would he threaten their community's future, their ambitions? The very thought made her heart race. Would their united voices be enough to stand against the power he wielded? Just as the crowd seethed with uncertainty, Sarah's mind raced. A plan began to take shape, a way to turn this tide in their favor. But she had to be daringly bold. "Then let us push back with unity," she declared, infusing her voice with determination. "Together, we are stronger. Together, we can redefine what Maplewood will be." The crowd erupted in collective agreement again, the energy swelling, but Sarah felt the need for a more direct challenge. "Let us bring our ideas to the table, and show the mayor our vision. Let him hear what we want." The atmosphere pulsed with heat and fervor, and as people cheered, Sarah knew they were hitting the brink of something much bigger. But then, uncertainty crept back into her mind. Would they actually follow through? And could their collective voices withstand what came next? The mayor's eyebrows furrowed, face shifting from stern to furious. In that moment, Sarah felt their fate hanging in the balance. But she couldn't back down now. She was ready to fight for every hopeful dream they shared. What would the mayor's next move be? Would he escalate the confrontation, or was he starting to realize the power of their unity? Sarah felt her heart pound. It was time for Maplewood to decide. The tension in the room cracked like a dry twig underfoot. Sarah stood at the center, her heart racing as she faced the mayor's cold glare. The crowd around her held their breath, a mix of hope and anxiety swirling in the air. She could see the fear in their eyes, mirrored by her own. "Bring our ideas to the table? You think I'll just hand over control?" The mayor sneered, his tone dripping with disdain. "You know nothing about leadership, Sarah. You're a dreamer. I'm trying to protect this town from your naive fantasies." A knot formed in her stomach. He might have power, but she had something he didn't: passion and the support of her community. She could feel Alex's presence beside her, strength radiating from him, infusing her with courage. "Protect us? Or oppress us?" Sarah shot back, feeling the words flow like a river spilling over its banks. "When your plans fail to include our ideas, you're ignoring what makes this town alive. We're not just numbers. We're families, friends, and neighbors. We want to be heard." The murmurs rose again, a wave crashing against the shore. Voices chimed in, each echoing her sentiment, spurring her on. "That's right. We deserve a say in our future." Someone shouted from the back, a familiar voice she recognized as Marcy, the florist. "Sarah, lead us." Another joined in. With every word, Sarah felt a spark of hope growing stronger. The mayor glanced around nervously, scanning the crowd. His facade of confidence was weakening, and she could sense victory if they pushed just a little harder. "Do we really wish to keep living in a town governed by fear?" Sarah demanded, her resolve solidifying. "They want to silence us, but we can't let them. We are Maplewood. We will stand tall and proud." A ripple of energy surged through the crowd, hearts beating as one. Sarah swept her gaze across their faces, each filled with determination, each ready to embrace the unknown, but still, she felt the weight of uncertainty lingering. What if they did push back? The mayor's voice boomed, resonating through the crowd. "You all talk of dreams, but dreams don't pay the bills. If you insist on making waves, don't be surprised when the storm hits hard." Fear danced on the edge of her thoughts, threatening to drown out her conviction. But as she looked to Tommy, standing resolute, her own worries faded away. His wide eyes gleamed with faith not just in her speech, but in every single one of them. "Then let the storm come," Sarah yelled, heart pounding as she extended her arms. "Together, we won't drown. We'll learn to sail, navigate through the turbulent waters. We'll find a way." A storm was brewing indeed, and they had the chance to turn it into something powerful. She felt their collective heartbeat matching her own as hands lifted in solidarity. "Let us gather our ideas," she urged, adrenaline fueling her words. "Let us create a plan together, one that reflects who we truly are. We will face any storm, but only united." The applause was deafening, encouragement echoed back from the depths of the crowd. Even the mayor appeared taken aback, his stony expression beginning to crack under the weight of their unity. But what would happen next? Would the mayor calculate his next move, or would he act in desperation? Sarah knew on a deeper level that their fight had just begun. The town might be divided, but the fire in their hearts would forge a powerful alliance. And as she stood there, surrounded by her neighbors, she whispered a silent prayer for wisdom. "Maplewood deserves better. We deserve a future full of possibilities." As the echo of cheers faded, a new doubt crept into her mind. Had they infused enough courage into their ambitions? Would the mayor turn violent, stifling their dreams before they could flourish? The moment of truth was lurking just around the corner. The atmosphere shifted, a palpable tension as the mayor's eyes narrowed, calculating his next move like a chess player cornered. Sarah felt a charge ripple through the crowd, a mix of hope and apprehension filling the air. Her blood raced, her palms clammy. She knew they had stirred something, but what if they had awakened a beast? "Who are you to lead us, Sarah?" The mayor sneered, his voice a sharp edge cutting through the warmth of the crowd's fervor. "You think your little rally can intimidate me? Maplewood has thrived under my watch. You're deluding yourself." "Thrived?" Marcy shot back, stepping forward, her floral-patterned dress fluttering as she raised a finger defiantly. "What about the empty storefronts? The families struggling to make ends meet? This isn't thriving, it's decay." As Marcy spoke, Sarah could see heads nodding in agreement. Energized voices began to rise around them, like a chorus echoing through the hall. For a moment, it felt like they were all pulling together, shared passion igniting a fire within. "Let us show him what it means to thrive, not just survive," Alex urged, his eyes bright with determination. He squeezed Sarah's arm. She could feel the warmth radiating from him, a reminder that they were in this together. The mayor scoffed, but even he couldn't ignore the wave of people clamoring for change. "And who do you all think you are?" A few loud voices won't drown out my plans, he replied, trying to reclaim authority. Yet the unease in his stance spoke volumes. What he feared was more than just noise, he feared unity. "Maybe it's time you start listening," Sarah said, her voice steady, emboldened by the people surrounding her. "What we want isn't about just one person taking control. It's about all of us having a seat at the table. We want to collaborate, innovate, and lift Maplewood up from its roots." The crowd roared, a resonating buzz that seemed to vibrate through the very walls of the room. It was the sound of a community awakening, a symphony of voices finally breaking free from silence. The mayor's face turned from disbelief to irritation. "Enough of this nonsense," he bellowed. "This is how I run things, and if you don't like it, then you can find somewhere else to live." His words were met with gasps of shock and murmurs of disbelief. Sarah felt as if she had been kicked in the gut. How could he threaten their very home? But the shock merely fanned the flames. "We are Maplewood." The chant began to ripple through the crowd again, each voice melding together, more powerful than the last. Alex leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "We can't let him bully us. He may have power, but we have something stronger, community." "I know," Sarah replied, feeling the swell of energy around her, a new sense of purpose rising. All they needed was to stay united, to push back against fear. "Let us meet again tomorrow," she urged, raising her hands once more to gather attention. Bring your ideas. We'll form committees, start a dialogue. We will take the fight to him on our terms, and we will show him the strength of our voices." As the crowd erupted into enthusiastic approval, a hint of uncertainty lingered in Sarah's heart. Could they really organize this wave of change? Could this united front withstand the mayor's rage? With each clap and cheer, she felt stronger, tempered by their belief in her, but a lingering worry gnawed at her. If they pressed too hard, would they unleash chaos? But for now, spirits soared high. This was their moment. They stood not as individuals but as one heartbeat, alive, filled with purpose. Yet, just as the excitement reached its peak, a muffled voice called out from the back, trembling with urgency. "But what if he retaliates? What will we do then?" The question hung in the air, thick with consequence. Sarah felt the chilling weight of truth sink in. What were they prepared to face when the mayor inevitably struck back? As the cheers gradually faded, Sarah stared into the crowd. They had ignited the fight, but now a deeper challenge loomed just beyond the horizon. Would they be ready to weather the storm together? The next day dawned gray and overcast, a heavy blanket of clouds settling over Maplewood like a shroud. Sarah stood at her kitchen window, staring out at the drizzling rain. It felt like the world was mirroring her uncertainty. The thought of gathering everyone again nagged at her. Was it far-fetched to think they could mobilize a community against the mayor's threats? Alex arrived promptly, knocking lightly before letting himself in. His expression was resolute, perhaps a little too bright for a day like today. "Ready for round two?" he asked, optimism dancing in his voice. Sarah managed a smile, but it felt shaky at best. "I hope so. I need to find a way to channel what we started yesterday into something productive." "But what if he really retaliates?" "Then we push back harder," he replied, determination etched across his features. "We can't let fear creep in. Remember, they're scared too. You saw how rattled he was last night." "Yeah, but what if he gets desperate?" she murmured, worry threading through her thoughts like a wound-up string. "That means he could do anything. Then we counteract it together. We're a community, remember? It's more than just us now." He reached for her hand, squeezing it softly. "We're united. We can't forget that." As they made their way to the community center, Sarah's thoughts raced. They needed a plan, something with substance. But who would show up after the mayor's threats? Would they still stand shoulder to shoulder with her, or had the mayor shaken their resolve? Inside the center, chairs were arranged in a large circle. People trickled in, hopeful glances exchanged, murmurs of encouragement rising like sparks. There was coffee brewing in the corner, along with a small spread of pastries thanks to Marcy's early morning preparations. Sarah felt a flicker of warmth as she took in her friends, neighbors, co-workers, and members of the community who were all there for a shared mission. "Thank you all for coming." Sarah started, her voice a little louder than her racing heart. "We've come together to stand for what's right in Maplewood. But first, I know many of you have questions about what happened yesterday, and I feel you deserve an answer." "No need to sugarcoat it," Marcy called out, her tone no nonsense, cutting through the chatter. "We all want to know how we're going to fight back against that jerk." "Exactly," Alex chimed in, his enthusiasm a counterbalance to Sarah's nervousness. "But we need ideas, strategies, a plan moving forward." People began to speak up. "What if we organize a petition? We could gather stories from families affected by his policies. Let's organize town forums." The suggestions flowed freely, igniting a shared purpose. As Sarah wrote down ideas, a realization washed over her. This wasn't just about opposing the mayor or winning a single battle. It was about building a community, a place where everyone could have a voice. But even as the passion surged in the room, a lingering doubt curled in the back of her mind. Could they really challenge an entrenched figure like the mayor without retaliation? Just as she prepared to address the room again, the community center door slammed open. A figure stepped inside, slimy and familiar, the mayor's trusted advisor, Walter, his eyes sweeping the room with a glint of malice. "He wants to know what you lot are planning," Walter said, his voice dripped with condescension. "Or perhaps you're just meeting for coffee and pastries." A collective gasp swept through the room, anxiety tightened like a vice around Sarah's chest. They had wanted to take a stand, but now it felt like the storm had already broken. How would they react to his intimidation? Would their courage falter in the face of direct confrontation, or would they rise to prove their mettle? The answer loomed heavy, and Sarah knew this was just the beginning of a deeper fight ahead. She looked at Alex, then at Marcy and the sea of faces around her. The spark of unity still flickered. "Let us show them what we're really made of," Sarah whispered, feeling resolve shape her words, but would it be enough to withstand the storm brewing outside? The town hall meeting was electric, the air heavy with anticipation and fear. As Sarah stood before her neighbors, her heart raced, pounding in sync with the energized energy that buzzed around her. Walter's presence twitched nerves, but they were all there now, facing the enemy head-on. The stakes were higher than ever. "Everyone," Sarah called, her voice echoing through the room. "We know what the mayor wants. He wants to silence us. But we won't be cowed. We are a community, and it's time to reclaim our voice." Empowered by her words, she sensed a ripple of support moving through the crowd. "Reclaim our voice." The townsfolk echoed, their unity creating a palpable force, each heartbeat drowning out the weight of fear. Walter's gaze flickered nervously, and Sarah could see it, doubt creeping in. She was struck by a sudden burst of clarity. Their strength lay not just in numbers, but in their shared hope and dreams. She stood taller, encouraged by Alex on her side, his unwavering presence igniting her next words. "Let us take back our community. We will stand as one. Each of us has a story, a reason to fight for Maplewood. We can gather these stories and amplify them. Let us showcase who we truly are. Let us get the press involved." She felt fire within her words. People nodded, their eyes bright with determination. "Yes," echoed voices, rising and mixing into a powerful symphony of agreement and desire for change. Marcy stepped forward, her spirit fierce. "Let us use social media. Let us gather videos of families and their stories show what Maplewood means to us. The mayor's silence can't stifle our love." "Brilliant," Sarah replied gratefully, feeling the warmth that pulsed through them. "We can start an online movement. A hashtag, something like Save Maplewood. Get everyone involved." As people brainstormed more ideas, plans began to emerge, each suggestion dripping with passion. They formed task forces right then, and their families would join forces, businesses could share their struggles. They channeled their voices, dreams, and fears into action that would rally the town. Together, they would not just challenge the mayor but uplift every member of the community who felt marginalized and unheard. Walter huffed, clearly growing agitated. "Is this really what you want? Disrupting the peace of Maplewood? A peace maintained by fear? No thank you." Sarah shot back, feeling fierce. "We love this town deeply, and we are ready to fight for it. Together." The crowd erupted in cheers, and for the first time, Sarah felt a wave of fear begin to wash away. "We'll send out flyers, alert people about our plan. Let us engage those outside this room, expand our reach." Alex shouted, his enthusiasm wrapping around her like a cloak. "We won't let Walter or the mayor hold us back." As the meeting wrapped, an energy filled the air, that rush of hope only communities can bowl their way through. They left the center, ready to work side by side. Sarah held on to Tommy's hand tightly, feeling every ounce of strength locked within their unity. Days turned into a whirlwind. Flyers adorned every lamppost, social media lit up with videos, hearts began to converge around their cause. Every passing day, thousands shared their stories, tales of hardship, love, laughter, and community rooted deep within Maplewood. Slowly, momentum shifted, the spirit growing stronger than the mayor anticipated. His retaliatory tactics soon revealed themselves. Rumors spread, the mayor tried to sway the tide against them with fake news and threats of zoning changes. "We'll push them back into silence," he smirked while in discussions. But he couldn't stop the tidal wave of people rallying for change. "I can't believe this is happening," Tommy exclaimed one night, his blue eyes wide as he scrolled through a flurry of supportive comments on their posts. "Everyone is standing with us, Mom." "Yes, buddy. This is our Maplewood," she replied, tears brimming, her heart warming with pride. Weeks passed. One evening, they gathered for a community picnic meant to celebrate their shared strength and evening of connection. Unlike any other. Families filled the park, laughter ringing through the air. Old tensions began to fade, and what flourished instead was a burning love for their home. It felt limitless. Then, the mayor's office reached out. The mayor wanted to meet. Sarah's heart raced with a mixture of excitement and dread. Would this be the moment of truth they had fought for? Over coffee in the town hall, they faced him. His expression stormy, he eyed them with fuming disdain. But Sarah would not flinch. "We're here to talk partnership, not control," she began, voice steady. "We're not opposing you, we want to work with you to preserve Maplewood." The mayor shifted, his arrogance wavering slightly. "You're a loud community, and yes, I've felt the pressure you're putting on me, but we need to be realistic." "No, we need to be brave." Sarah pushed back, feeling all those stories echoing behind her, stories of love, perseverance, community. "Together, we can forge real change. It's time to embrace transformation that prioritizes the people of Maplewood over profits." The silence hung thick. Would he dig in his heels, or would the heart of community win this day? Finally, the mayor sighed heavily, his walls crumbling brick by brick. "Let's talk compromise." Hope blossomed in the air, thick and palpable like the warm summer sun. It felt transformative. It was real. They had done it together. As they stared each other down, Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. This was their victory, forged from unity. Later, standing on the steps of the community center, Sarah looked out at the crowd of supportive faces, neighbors, friends, future generations. She raised her hands, her heart soaring. "We did this together. Let us continue to stand united, embrace every change to create not just a future but a fulfilling family history in Maplewood." Cheers erupted, laughter pouring into the night as Sarah felt lighter than ever. The colors of sunset painted the sky, and extraordinary transformation began to unfold, and in that moment, there was nothing but hope. Now, it's your turn to carry this transformation forward. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our journey. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this amazing ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who also need to embrace this transformation. You need to show your support, and this is the moment to make your voice heard. Don't wait not even one more second.